Hey, welcome to the Morning Master with Spencer Caldwell. It's a great day, beautiful, beautiful weather, man. It was almost hot yesterday.
It was. It was one of those days where you use your air conditioning and your heat the same day.
Yeah. Welcome to Arizona, right? Use your heater in the morning, headed to work, and your AC on the way home. That's pretty funny. So excited to have one of my good friends as a guest today, Michael Bialowitz. Do I say your last name right? Bialowitz?
Bialowitz. It's pretty close.
Bialowitz.
Yep. It's a
Bialowitz. I would say Bialowitz. It's Bialowitz.
That's all good.
With a B. So people say my last name, Caldwell. They murder it all the time. You think it's an easy one, but for whatever reason, people have a hard time pronouncing the A and the L together, so I get called Cadwell all the time. It's not like a full Caldwell, right? Like Caldwell. It's Caldwell. They say they cod, like a corn on the cob, instead of Caldwell. Anyways, one of those things. So Bialowitz, I need to remember that. So I'm going to remember a B instead of bio, right? So there's a B.
Think of like Bialy. It's a Polish word. Bial means white, and so Bialy, Biala. That's the root.
Right.
Polish last name.
And speaking of Polish, I mean, Michael is Polish, and I had the pleasure of meeting his dad, which is the only Holocaust survivor that I've ever met in my whole life, several years ago. How many years ago was that? Maybe like 10 years ago?
It would have been 10 years ago, 10 or 11 years ago as we got started. We met back in 2014, and my dad passed in 2016. So and he was in bad shape his last year. So it would have been 2014 or 2015 when I brought him by.
So a good 10 years ago. So, I mean,
we walked a property together, distressed in something in Dobson Lakes, I think.
Yeah, we did. Nice. We did. And for me to be like in the presence of a Holocaust survivor, to me it's sacred. And not only, to me, it's just so awesome. And you guys need to check out Michael's dad's book. It's my top book. I mean, it's probably my favorite book actually I've ever read. I can say that pretty confidently. It's called A Promise at Sobibor. When he was a 14-year-old boy, he helped free. How many Jewish people did he help free?
Like there's about 600 prisoners at the Sobibor death camp where him and his brother were prisoners, and he and his brother were part of a group of, I think, about 30 prisoners that conspired a plan to kill the Nazis and break out in the whole camp. And they did it, and about 300 of the 600 prisoners made it to the forest, and about 30 or so survived till the end of the war. Most of them were rounded up and recaptured or turned in, that kind of thing.
Oh, really?
But him and his brother as far as we know, were the only two brothers to survive one of the death camps. Sobibor was strictly a death camp. It wasn't just a concentration. Like, it wasn't. They didn't store prisoners. They didn't warehouse prisoners there ongoing. The only prisoners that were there for the duty of the dirty work of processing human cargo and exterminating them and sending their belongings back to Nazi Germany.
Wow. So there was 600 it was a gas chamber camp that your dad was in.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, it was 99.9% of the people who entered the gates of the camp were murdered within hours of arriving.
Man, I can't believe it.
It was a factory of death.
So there were 600 people there, and 300 of them were from your dad and these others that conspired to free. That 300 of them got freed, but you said only 30 or so ended up not getting rounded back up from that event.
Either rounded back up or killed later or turned in. Yeah, only about 30 were still alive. This happened in October 1943, and in June 1944 is when that section of that area of Poland was liberated, when the Eastern Front, like the Soviets, were pushing towards the west. So he had to survive another 8 months, and most of the Jews that escaped didn't last that 8 months.
Ah, man, so crazy. So being in, and just reading that book and his experiences, and it's pretty hard to complain about anything in our life, right, Michael? Do you ever catch yourself complaining about something and realize just how good we got it?
I mean, all the time, every day. I wouldn't have gone into the real estate investing business if it wasn't for my dad literally it wasn't even my idea, it was his idea, and he told me I needed to do it. And I thought, this is going to be too hard. There's too many unknowns. It's scary. I don't. And then he compares that to, like, you think that's scary? He literally had been in front of a firing squad before and survived by throwing himself down and pretending to be dead. So there was nothing that my father couldn't do or face, or any fear that he couldn't face. So that's kind of in my DNA, and I have to remind myself that all the time, that I'm Philip Bialowitz's son, and it's in my DNA. So when something seems impossible, it's not just scary, or it's sometimes just because it seems too hard or impossible to make happen. I just kind of remember, like, you wouldn't be here if it wasn't possible to overcome hard, scary things.
Yeah, that's true. Like you said, it's in your DNA.
Yeah, so it was his idea that I get this started, and he pushed me to do it, and he backed me, and it's actually why I named my company Second Generation Properties, because I'm a second generation Holocaust survivor, and it's kind of an ode to him, and that he's a reason. So
right.
I can't say the name of my company without remembering where it came from. Right, that's true. And tell me this. So, I mean, he obviously, if he wanted you to get into real estate, he did real estate, right? He did. He did it kind of. I didn't know a lot about this because he was a jeweler in New York City in the Diamond District, and that was his profession, right? But I learned later, much later, as he was kind of nearing the end. I mean, I knew that he had an apartment here or there, but he was actually a pretty decent real estate investor. His whole thing is, he would always say, you have to buy special situations. I look for the special situation, which meant distressed, right? That was his. So he only wanted distressed properties because he knew, like, the secret is, like, buy low, sell high. But what his thing was, buy low. His thing was buy and hold forever. He never sold a single piece of real estate in his life. He only bought. And so when he passed away, those were left behind for my siblings and I. And, that's helped us tremendously with capital for doing more real estate investing and even some other businesses. Right. Oh man, that's the most amazing thing. That's pretty cool. Buy special properties. Special situation. Look for the special situation. That's what it says. Special situation. Like he bought a condo in Florida where the builder was bankrupt, and he bought the model, and he was so proud of it because it was decorated so nicely. Oh, really? He used it as a vacation spot, as a snowbird, because we were in New York, and it's in West Palm Beach, and in the Palm Beach Polo Club on a golf course. It's gorgeous. We still own it, actually. But then he just rented it, and the rent, it's cash flows, and it's appreciated. It's gone up, I think, probably 400% since he bought it. I think he bought it for like $65,000. And worth probably 10 times that now. Wow, that's pretty cool. That's pretty amazing. What got him into doing diamonds in downtown New York? So when he came to the United States, he was learning to be a dental assistant, and he was in Columbus, Ohio, and he had some friends that he knew from the displaced persons camp, which is kind of like a camp for war victims. Like after the Holocaust, like after the war ended, the Allies had these camps for all these like homeless Jewish people, basically. Right. And got sent to Columbus, and he had friends from that camp that were in New York, and he just decided that there were more people like him in New York, and he had friends in New York, so he went to New York, and one of his friends got him an interview at a watchmaker, and it's like working with really small parts, and it's kind of technical, similar to like the dental stuff that he did. But he was like doing filling. He was in root canal. I don't know what he was doing exactly, but he was good with his hands and understood that stuff. So he went to the job interview, and he told them that he had 2 years of experience so he can get the job, and they put him to work. And at the end of the day, his boss called him in. He said, "Philip, we have a problem. It's clear to me that you don't have 2 years of experience." And he thought he was like, "Oh no, I'm getting canned on the first day." And he said, "It's clear to me you don't have 2 years of experience. It looks like you have more like 1 year of experience. So we're going to have to give you some extra training." And that's how his jewelry business started. It was working with a watch company or a watchmaker, and then it turned into like dealing diamonds and jewels and things like that, like wholesale. On the diamond district, it's a lot of deals go on. It's like an exchange.
And didn't he even tell a little white lie in the camp as a little Jewish 14-year-old?
How he it's really why he didn't get gassed as soon as he arrived. His brother, when they arrived, they asked if there were any tradespeople, what your occupation was, and his brother was a pharmacist. So they say, "Okay, step out of the line." So they had everybody lined up, and they step out of line. And his brother knew that meant he's being selected for work, and they wouldn't get killed. But so he said, "Wait a second, my brother, he's my assistant, he's my apprentice, he knows everything about working in the pharmacy." But really, he knew nothing about working in the pharmacy. But he knew that if he wasn't selected for work, his brother was going to be his little brother would be killed. So my uncle, his older brother, gave my dad his first chance of life at Sobibor by telling that lie.
Wow, that's cool. It's some of the memories are coming back from reading the book. It's been too long. I think it's been like
they wanted a pharmacist to be able to go because people would bring their prescriptions with them in their luggage, and they wanted a pharmacist to be able to go through and catalog all that and warehouse it. And apparently the guards were siphoning off all the opiates so they were high all the time to be able to like deal with what they were doing.
Oh man,
it was hard on them too. Some of them, not all of them were.
Yeah.
Just Yeah.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
At one time they were going to poison all the guards. That was one of the plans for the revolt. His brother was going to poison all of them with cyanide, but that plan fell through. Right, and eventually I think they just full on. They just made knives and axes and stole some guns, and it was a coordinated hit on all the leadership of the camp, like all within an hour. And
how many guards did they kill within an hour?
I think it was 11. Something. And my dad helped with that, with getting the guards to their like appointments where they were ambushed. Yeah. Wow. So amazing. Could you imagine to the 14-year-old boy having to go through that and do those type of things? It's amazing. So it's amazing what you can do when you know that your only alternative is you're going to be killed. Yeah. If you don't act. Yeah, out of desperation. So unfortunately, I mean, you and I could talk for another couple hours on all this stuff in real estate. So I appreciate you tuning in. We only got about a minute. Tell me about I'd like to hear about your latest adventure with this baking, I call it studio. Tell me a little bit about that. Oh yeah. So my wife asked it came to me a couple of years ago and said she wanted to kind of do a career change. She wanted to have her own business because I've had my own business. She wanted to have her own business. And long story short, where it landed is we moved back to Arizona. We were in Tennessee for a few years. And we're opening, it's called Flower Power Cooking Studios at Stapley in the 60 by the AMC. And it's basically like a cooking school. It's cooking classes. And it was originally geared for only kids. So it's really about having fun, and getting exposed to the kitchen and like as a springboard, and you can build from there. It's not pretentious, or no one's going to yell at you for slicing onion wrong, kind of thing. But we also do all kinds of stuff with adults, where we can do corporate team builders. We can do bridal showers, baby showers. Family classes is going to be huge. We're really looking forward to family classes. We have to figure out exactly when to schedule them, and then homeschooling, and we're set up to work with the ESA program for homeschooling with the funding and that kind of thing. So we're really excited about it. We're finishing up the construction. We're opening in March and beginning of March. But we're construction delays and everything. I'm sure you know how I feel. It's not easy to get the construction done in time and trying to get your opening date scheduled. But we're looking at March 5th right now.
And remind me the name of the company?
Oh, it's called Flower Power Cooking Studios, Mesa Gilbert.
Cool. Yeah. And the first location is going to be on Stapley and Baseline, correct? Over by the Harkins Theater?
Yep, right next door to GameStop, between GameStop and the Harkins Theater.
Cool. So
not Harkins, AMC.
AMC, yeah, you're right. AMC. So Flower Power over by AMC, Power and Baseline. I know I've got a couple boys that just think they're little bakers, and so I'm stoked to get them in there. Our
first 4 students that enrolled were all boys. We were surprised a little bit, but we think Arizona is going to be a little different because there's like 15 other Flower Powers in other states.
Yeah,
it's part of a franchise, but we think we're going to change some of the I think that Arizona's going to be a little different compared to, because they're all in the South where it's very, very traditional.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, cool. My time is up. Our time is up. Michael, thank you for hopping on for a few minutes this morning. I really appreciate you, and hopefully I'm going to see you and your family tonight.
Yes. We're going to be there. I'm skipping lunch.
Hey, look, it's not full menu, by the way. It's just like some sliders and some stuff. Full menu tomorrow.
That's okay.
Okay, cool. So don't fast too much. But hey, everyone, I appreciate you. Go make something great happen today. It's going to be a beautiful day. And Michael, once again, thank you so much. We'll be talking to you soon.
Okay, thanks, buddy.